Take two.
Welcome to another episode of House of the Empire, brought to you by Phantom Empire. I am your host, Johnny V, and it is truly a pleasure to be here with you wherever you are listening from. All right, we got a lot of great stuff packed into tonight's episode. It's been a lot of news items coming out in the last week, so we do got a lot of stuff to go over tonight. And of course, I'm not here by myself, as you can see the other two heads here on screen with me. Joining me tonight, as always, my colleagues, cohorts, and friends. Sean, how you doing tonight?
Well, 25 minutes ago I was asleep, so I'm glad I made it.
That would have been a very awkward show cancellation if you hadn't. All right, and on the other side of the screen, Randy, how you doing this evening?
I'm not doing too bad. It's typical Mondays always, but we get to talk. Finally, get to talk some Friday the 13th. I'm excited about. Got some Star Wars, so yeah, sounds like we're gonna have some fun tonight. Quick anecdote. So as we know, Mando Grogu comes out later this month. All of a sudden,
what's coming out?
I'm calling it Mando Grogu because I am not that. That's still a horrible name for a movie, The Mandalorian Grogu. It's still a horrible name.
There's a Star Wars movie coming out. Oh, I didn't know.
So, funny thing, finally we're starting to see promotional stuff for it.
We are?
I don't know if you guys have the promo stuff for Burger King for the movie or not. So my wife sees this on the TV screen, and also she's like, "Oh, we got to go," and I'm like, "You want to go to Burger King? Okay." Not only do we go and each get the meals, she bought all the cups and took home the crown that has Grogu on it. So,
wait, hang on. What do these cups look like? You got them handy?
They're in the other room, but I will definitely share pictures with all four of them. They actually were willing to sell us the other two that we didn't get with our meals. But
do you guys remember? Sorry to cut you off here, just because you brought up the cups. Do you remember the classic McDonald's cups where they had like a bunch of them for? I want to say it was Batman Returns. They had like the duck with the penguin. And,
Are you talking about
the what?
The glass ones?
No, I'm just talking about the plastic ones. They had like a white lip to them, and there were some Flintstone ones too.
Oh, yeah, okay. Now I remember.
Yeah, for the Flintstones movie. There might have been once for Jurassic Park as well, but I can't remember that far back. I just remember. Hell, you might have even had some of the Batman Returns ones at your house, if I recall.
Yeah, now that you mentioned, yeah, I went right to the Batman Forever ones, not the Returns ones, but yeah, I do remember what you're talking about.
Are they like those? Like, are they decent quality or are they shit?
They're fairly decent quality. Obviously, you're not gonna put them in the dishwasher or anything, but they're nice. They're not like super thick, but they're thick enough that they're not gonna fall apart.
Your
So
standard fast food collector cup.
pretty much, but it's like they're different colors, but each one kind of represents a specific character, even though all the characters are on it. So the red one has Din on it, the green one has Grogu, the blue one has Zeb. I can't remember the black one off the top of my head, but like I said, I'll share them in the chat once we're done here. But yeah, it's like she's probably 100 times more excited for this movie than the three of us combined. And it made me realize that, yep, it's going to be the fans like her who just love Star Wars that is probably going to help with this movie. But
Well, it's going to need it financially with how it's tracking. So
We'll get back to that point a little later.
Well, before we go any further on the Mando Grogu part, just because it's not in the show notes, I did see a clip, and like I know they've been slowly coming out. And frankly, I've not been watching them. Just been like, you know what, we're gonna go see the movie. A small group of us, just gonna leave it. And last night was one of those nights where I was up for like 2.5 hours in the middle of the night, and I decided I was gonna watch a clip, and I watched it's like the two Huts and Mando. Now, the clip doesn't make me feel any different about the movie or how they've gone about making it or how they've gone about marketing it. And maybe it's because I've been watching through Mando season 1 with Jensen, my youngest son, and I just kind of thought to myself, yeah, you know what? That clip's decent. It's not terrible. It's decent, and it made me a smidgen more excited to see the movie. But I've just kind of accepted the fact my line of thought here is not going to change on the movie. The movie literally does not have one full-time live action cast member for the movie. So like yeah.
It'll be
I'm done, I
interesting when
promise.
we get to the end of the month and actually get to see this thing. All right, so let's get into the show notes, into the show proper, as in back on the notes. Let's get on to our first official planned topic of the evening. Obviously, last week we finished up season 1 of Maul Shadow Lord. We've all sort of now had a week to sit on it. How were we thinking? Any different than you were last week, or anything new you've thought of, or maybe even you've spent some time and watched it over again? I don't know. If either of you have, I know I haven't. But any sort of new thoughts or things you didn't get into last week that you want to bring up now?
I watched a oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You jumped in there.
You started your thought. Go for it, man.
I watched a few reactions to it. So I guess I've kind of seen it again in a way, at least bits and pieces of it. And just thinking about the season as a whole, I would just say I would reiterate what I said last week on the show, and that is, I think that this is far and away the yeah, lots of background noise going on, Johnny. This is far and away the best Star Wars animated show that we've gotten, just from so many different, like you can look through so many different lenses, whether it's character development, action, art design, sound design, the ensemble cast. Um, it's it was better than I thought, and I was just mentioning not being able to sleep at night, and one of the things I was able to do is message our old friend Ian, who's in a just wildly different time zone, and have a little bit of a conversation with him, and he loved it too. And it takes a lot for him to love something Star Wars. He's very cynical, like I am these days, about a lot of it, and he said far and away the best animated show they've ever done. So this show has definitely hit, no doubt about that.
Randy, anything you want to
So for me, I actually did get to rewatch the final 2 episodes because my wife hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, "Look, we need to sit down and watch these because I don't want social media ruining for you, like the big surprise at the end. Because for her, she's not gonna, you know, clue in on certain little cues that we all would have normally, but the fact that I got to watch her reaction and the total shock in her face with stuff that happened, and then of course I got the litany of questions at the end of, what's going on, what's going to happen in season 2, what does this mean, so on and so forth, which is always fun. And then of course I have friends who were catching up on it as well, and one dude in one of our chats was like, "Okay, is the full thing out yet? Should I binge it all now?" I was like, "Do it now before everything gets ruined for you, because if you don't, you're just going to be kind of disappointed because of the fact that you didn't get to be shocked or surprised. You just basically uh, had a big part of it ruined for you. Similar to what Sean's experience of just people leaking shit online before anything ever really dropped. So it's because if you go in cold and actually don't get ruined, anything that doesn't get ruined for you by social media, it's such a big surprise and a welcome surprise versus already knowing what's going to happen. Kind of like for me, getting part of the finale for Daredevil season 2 got ruined on accident and I'm not even caught up. So it's like, great, all this happened in the past X amount of episodes I haven't watched yet. So when I finally get to that, I'm going to have that probably a similar feeling to what Sean did when he got to the whole idea of, oh, here's Vader, because he knew it was going to happen before, we did, essentially. So, but yeah, it's I'm going to have to binge the whole season again, just because I think that's the next step. Because like you were talking about, Johnny, of just having it all out all at once, to just binge it all and just kind of see how it flows. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I look forward to taking that time. I haven't yet, but I don't think it'll be too long before I do. Probably in the next couple of months I'll do it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't put any additional thought into it, or spend any time watching any videos, because that's just not usually what I do.
Well, if you didn't put any more thought into it, I'll mention what I mentioned in the chat the other day. Credit goes to Jade for this one, because I didn't notice it, and I should have after she pointed it out. So I've never seen what's the show called? IT Crowd. I've never seen it, so
Great show.
I don't know. Richard Ayoade, I don't know if I'm saying that right, is the voice of Two Boots, and I'm sitting there with my young son the other day watching the Bill Burr episode from Mando season 1, the Prison Break episode where Matt Lanter plays the Republic Guard, and the rest are like droids.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good episode. Honestly, going back to that made me realize how good season 1's been, rewatching it, and just how like it was toned down and stuff. But anyways, Richard Ayoade is in that as a droid as well. Apparently he's in another episode. Zach mentioned it in our chat. He'll be back next week, by the way, everybody. But it's the voice is identical. Like, there's no attempt to like change the voice, mask the voice, or anything. It's Two Boots, maybe slightly more evil. And I just, once Jade pointed it out and I started listening, it's like, oh shit. Like, it is. Like, obviously I am GB to double check, but
because you didn't trust me.
Yeah, essentially. But yeah, I thought that was cool. It's not something they do a ton, right? Lucasfilm, that is, use the same voice actor again for 2 different droids across 2 different forms of media.
I mean, it's a much easier thing to do when we're dealing with droid voice, right? Because it is something that you can sort of, have sort of be universal, right? But you're right, it isn't something that is typically done. But, I mean, I'm for it, especially in a case like this. We've got a voice that you like that works, and you can plug that in a different format and do something else with it. And I'm for it. I'm okay with it, and I like Richard Ayoade. I like the IT Crowd was a show I loved. It's one of those cult shows that was around for a cup of coffee. It was great, both versions actually. I enjoyed the American and the British version, but yeah, it's fun. I didn't notice it either, but then again, it's been so long since I've watched that episode of The Mandalorian that I'm not surprised I didn't remember it.
Such a good episode.
I probably remembered it and noticed it at that time, but it's been so long since I watched it.
I completely forgot Bobby from Sons of Anarchy's in that episode too. So he looks identical. Yeah, he looks identical. Like he just walks up and is like, "Oh, it's Bobby."
Huh. All right, so let's move forwards, onwards, upwards, all that fun stuff. All right, so in the last week, we have finally gotten some news coming out about different Star Wars projects coming out in the future, both in the movie sphere and the gaming sphere. But we have gotten, I don't want to say a fair bit, but we've gotten a fair bit more than we've gotten out of Starfighter. And that we have both character names and we have a synopsis for the film. So we'll obviously start with the synopsis and then we'll do character names. So we have a synopsis that was revealed for Starfighter. Obviously, it's a synopsis, so it's not spoilery or anything like that beyond generic boilerplate stuff. So I'm just going to straight out just read you the synopsis, and then we'll kind of, I don't want to say break it down point by point by point. Like this isn't we're not going to spend 40 minutes going over a 2-line synopsis. But we'll break it down and we'll discuss what the possible implications might be for that. So this is it, the official synopsis for Star Wars Starfighter. In a rebuilding galaxy, a solitary pilot becomes entangled in a crucial mission as new threats emerge. Their journey may alter the future of the Force itself. 2 lines, but a lot going on in there. I dare say the first line is just, it's extremely generic, exactly what you expect, basically, from what we knew of the general idea of the film, knowing that, what it was called, basically kind of evokes that idea itself. But that second line, though, that one is journey that may alter the future of the Force itself. Now, of course, this could just be sort of a generic, I don't want to say sort of heading on to, yeah, okay, you guys are very smart. Obviously, the kid is a Force-sensitive individual. Okay, so yes, obviously, the future of the Force itself, being this would be in an era where, the Jedi are kind of almost non-existent at this point, right? To a degree.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't. It's hard to know how many are kicking around during the sequel trilogy and just not present for that story. And then obviously you have Rey. I guess theoretically, if it's 5 or 6 years after Rise of Skywalker, perhaps Finn has a part in that. But like it's sparse. Like it's arguably less than after Order 66.
Yeah, I mean, you had Luke kind of try to reintegrate, right, in the in-between with his new Jedi Order, which obviously went tits up when he had his second crisis of conscience, and it spiraled Kylo down the dark side and destroyed all that. And
now we did cover a rumor on this channel months ago. Like, this is probably close to a year ago now, because they've been done filming this thing since December. And that was Amy Adams' character, who I don't believe is in the film very much. She's playing the mother of what's the actor's name? It's listed in that description I wrote, Johnny.
Flynn Gray.
Kid actor. Yes. So we believe she's playing his mom, but the rumor was that she was in fact a survivor from Luke Skywalker's academy.
I do remember us discussing that at some point.
That's strictly a rumor. We have No multiple sources to back that up. But when you read the second part of the synopsis, like think about when they announced the title for this movie. And they announced the title really before we knew anything about the movie. I think it would be fair to say when you hear the title Star Wars Starfighter, you're probably thinking something along the lines of, oh, it's probably similar to what they were going to do with Rogue Squadron back in the day. But the more you hear about it, the more you hear about Matt Smith's character, the scene that Tom Cruise helped film, which is a lightsaber duel, and then Sean Levy backing it up, saying there is lightsaber duels in this, and then the kid being force sensitive. I think if you went back in time to where you just knew the title of the movie again, you'd be genuinely surprised of sort of how big of a, I'm trying to think of the right way to word this, just like how important the story sounds off of this tiny synopsis and rumors. Like when we heard the title, like I said, I thought we were in for, Rogue Squadron. And Johnny, I think you kind of referenced it at the beginning of the synopsis. Could you read it one more time for us? I don't have access to it right now.
In a rebuilding galaxy, a solitary pilot becomes entangled in a crucial mission as new threats emerge. Their journey may alter the future of the Force itself.
So yeah, you got Ryan Gosling, who's probably playing a bit of a dick. Han Solo's character. It's kind of the tale of two stories. It's like, yeah, you get your, we don't know till we see the movie, but I'm guessing Star Wars Starfighter, the title, is actually about Ryan Gosling's character rather than a bunch of Starfighter stuff going on. You know what I mean? Kind of like The Phantom Menace. Most people are like, oh, Maul, wrong, Sidious. Or Return of the Jedi. A lot of people are like, oh, Luke. Wrong, Anakin. It feels like that kind of title, and that the stakes, that's the word I was looking for. The stakes for this movie seem to, and we've heard it's just standalone, but I got to tell you, I'm not sure I'm buying that, and it feels like this might be the beginning of, I'm not saying a bunch of characters from this movie will continue on to other movies, but it feels like this movie might be setting the stage for whatever we're going to get next. I don't know how you two feel about that.
No, I mean, I think it works on multiple levels, right? Like, you're right. When we heard the title Starfighter, we just assumed combat, space, X-Wings, TIE fighters. Those are the things we sort of ran right towards. And, they didn't really do a very good job, or even try for that matter, to dissuade us of that notion, which I think was probably one of the smarter things they could have done. Because to a certain degree, it allows them to sort of drop this on us now and be like, yeah, by the way, this has nothing to do with that at all. And yet, when you take the time to sort of parse it, I think that second line does more for a Starfighter title than anything else could have. Because as much as we sit here and say, oh, Starfighter, it's about space combat, it's about this, it's about that, but it's not. If it's a journey that can alter the Force itself, it's not space combat. It's literally a fight for the stars themselves. It's about the galaxy. It's a bigger picture thing, which doesn't really, when you hear the title, doesn't evoke that thought at all, which I think is a good thing, right? Because it plays into that sort of, I don't want to say contrarian, but that sort of beyond the surface level that Star Wars titles have carried. Like Sean just pointed out, look at all those examples of past Star Wars films in the George Lucas era where what you initially think the title is going to be about could not be further from what it was really about. Right? And I think this has the opportunity to do that on that level, and I like that idea because it does sort of play well with, what is sort of a Star Wars that has, I don't want to say gone against the grain in that regard, but literally, I think every one of these sequel trilogy titles were all surface level, right? There were none with really deeper meaning. There weren't any real ones that were kind of, look beneath the surface and get them.
They lack originality.
Exactly. Like the closest you might get is maybe The Last Skywalker referring to Kylo, right? Like that's maybe the closest.
The Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, that is what I meant. I mean, I'm even conflating titles, The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But like, that's the closest to that you get is, Kylo coming back in from the dark and, being, even though he wasn't himself actually a named Skywalker, he was of the blood, but it's like that's the closest we got in any of the sequel trilogy. Everything else was just surface level and plain, and but I like this idea that this could be something more than that. I like that, and again, this could just be me sort of grasping at straws, and if it is, I'm okay with that. Because it does give us more to talk about and more to be excited for, which is something that The Mandalorian and Grogu has provided absolutely zero of, to the point that even being casually reminded every week in the last month that there is a Star Wars film this month, I'm still sitting here like, oh yeah, that's right. That's a thing this month.
I'm sure the Gold Star Brigade would get on me for saying this, but this, what is it, 2-line synopsis?
Yep.
To me, did more for Starfighter than the entire marketing has done for Mando and Grogu.
I mean, let's be honest. And I realize this is fresh, and I know it's obviously something that we're going to be talking about. But can either of you even tell me the synopsis for Mandalorian and Grogu?
In a galaxy far, far away, we've taken an arc that was meant for season 4 and turned it into a movie while having no full-time actors.
I don't think that's the synopsis, but good try.
Yeah, all right. I tried.
But like that's it, right? Like this does a better job. I'll let you kind of stew on it, Randy. You look like you're trying to parse that and see if you remember it a little bit. But it's like we're so far out from this film, and already this 2-line thing has done more to give us different avenues of attack and thought than anything The Mandalorian and Grogu has come anywhere close to giving us, in my opinion.
I mean, the only thing I remember in terms of potentially the synopsis, even if it's not word for word, is basically Din offering his services to the Republic to hunt down the Remnant, and then he himself becomes hunted by the Hutts. I mean, that's basically all I've gotten from even the trailers and whatnot. I have like zero idea who Sigourney Weaver's playing. I know Zeb's in it. Like it's like, but beyond that, it's I don't know. But it still doesn't make to me. I'm still gonna go see it anyway, so it's not a big deal. But as far as for Starfighter, it's interesting because just based on the stuff that we've been privy to from the beginning and the things we've learned over time, we can easily piece together probably what the story is going to be about. We just don't know the players. We don't know the motivations. We don't know overall like the beginning and end. We just have a vague idea based on everything we've learned over the past year plus. And it's it's cool, it's exciting. I'll be really curious to see how Rey is involved, if she's involved, if it's a different Jedi. We know that obviously the idea of something that's going to potentially change the Force in general, we know by this time chances are the dark side has probably tipped the scales a little bit, and there's only a few, at least good Force users out there. We know Rey is potentially trying to start a Jedi temple, but even then, maybe she's not succeeding, and maybe this kid shows a level of the Force that the galaxy hasn't seen since Anakin. We don't know because they're not giving us those cues. So it'll be interesting. And I can't wait till we finally get to see more and more come out. I'm sure before the summer's out, I have no doubt we're probably going to see at least a teaser, if anything. So that's going to be exciting in and of itself.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. I think at this point, the fact they haven't said anything leads me further and further down they're not going to be attaching this thing to Mandalorian and Grogu. So
I don't know what they're doing. I mean, Star Wars Insider, the very final edition of that magazine, so like official Lucasfilm product, said that we will see a teaser for Starfighter soon. Now, soon doesn't necessarily mean a couple of weeks; it could be a couple months. But I would think you would want to get a few more asses in seats and advertise, hey, you'll get a first look at Star Wars Starfighter when you go see this movie, and not just have the trailer pop up. What the hell do I know? I'm done trying to figure out Disney marketing.
Yeah, it's definitely I don't want to say awkward for them, but I think they might in some ways be reading the tea leaves much like we have and see that this film is not going to do so hot on its opening day weekend and are instead going to put the trailer on something that actually will do big business on opening day weekend. And
Toy Story 5 is not far.
But yeah, that's a possibility. I was thinking more Spider-Man, just sort of in.
I don't know if they would, just because Spider-Man's not a Disney movie.
I mean, I think they still will, just probably not much, and I could see them doing that because it just for crossover of audience, right? Like it's the biggest sort of periphery title in the crossover sphere of sort of same market capture, whereas Toy Story is a much more much younger demographic, right? So like I could see that playing into this decision as well. I don't know of anything else that's in the sphere that would have sort of the same market capture under the Disney umbrella. I mean, I'd have to look at the schedule. So like there could be something that I'm forgetting, and they may very well still do it anyway with Toy Story 5. But we'll just
Not
have
in
to
our
wait
show
and see,
notes,
I guess.
but word is we're going to get some sort of Ahsoka season 2 information tomorrow at the, I believe it's the Disney Plus upfronts. Is that what it's called? I don't know. It's some sort of
That
Disney
would
Plus
be this
event,
time of year.
and its poster is one of the posters advertised for it. So I don't think we're getting a trailer for it. To be clear, I think we're a bit off from that now because I don't think we're going to see that show before, if I had to guess, late August, September at earliest.
Yeah.
I know it feels like it's been forever, but also Dave Filoni, I meant to have this one in the show notes, was asked quite pointedly at the mall finale premiere if Ahsoka season 2 would be the last, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. We'll have to see. There's a plan." And he's like, "I already know where the story's going and where it ties up and where it ends, and we'll just have to wait and see. Right now, we're here for Maul." Um, so I'm I'm really not positive that Ahsoka season 2 might be the last season of the show titled Ahsoka, but in terms of like that Mandoverse stuff, now that we know his movie's kind of off the schedule, I still wonder. It's a poor comparison in my opinion because I don't think it would be like this show, but I do wonder if we're getting some sort of Defenders type show to wrap up the Mandoverse at some point. Yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean,
We'll
that
have to
was
see
sort
if
of
it
always
keeps.
the rumored plot, right? The rumored plan. That's something, I mean, I know we've been discussing it for years at this point on this show, that the plan was for sort of that. At the time we first started discussing it, it was a
Well, we thought it was a
Defenders.
movie.
Well, at different points, it's been both, right? Like when we first started talking about this, that was sort of at the height of the Netflix Marvel universe building up to the Defenders. And now here, and then we kind of got into, well, it's going to be a movie because that was around the time that, Filoni sort of threw his hat into the ring as a director of a film. And then now it's back to a TV series and now it's back to a movie. And it's like, there has been discussions, at least on our part, going back as far as the debut of The Mandalorian, that the plan was for the interconnected universe to build to a Defenders/Avengers-esque production. And it is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern is the Disney Plus upfronts. I googled that really quickly while you were talking.
Honestly, I think if Ahsoka season 2 does well, and we obviously Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't do as well as they want. I mean, it's not out of the question to the realm of possibilities to turn what's left into quite a few seasons of television for Disney Plus, because I feel like we need a payoff for Thrawn being back in the galaxy. We need a payoff for having all these characters coming back. There has to be something. We can't just say, well, there was the movie, and then obviously that's not on the books now, or it's in developmental hell, or it's on hold, or whatever. This here, having multiple seasons of television that's going to give us all the characters having to come together, I mean, I'm all for it. And with the way Filoni likes to tell his stories, whether it be with Ahsoka, what we've seen in Clone Wars, Rebels, Maul, all that, if we can get that type of level of storytelling to go for multiple seasons leading up to this huge all-out galaxy-saving battle, I mean, I'm all for it. So I'd rather have that than have a promise of something and then have nothing delivered. That would just be severely disappointing and just flat out suck.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it builds up to, where it ends up at. We still need success from Ahsoka and from everything else going on. If Mandalorian and Grogu literally does shit the bed in an intense way that we think it has the potential to, it could have a ripple, butterfly effect on the TV verse. It may just basically put us in a situation where anything that starts on Disney Plus stays on Disney Plus. You're not going to have a crossover again.
I think that should be the way it is anyway, in my opinion.
Not without a properly fleshed out plan, right? Like, you can't take, this has sort of been my argument from the start. You cannot take a season of a TV series and condense it into a roughly 2-hour movie. You can't. You leave too much on the ground.
They're already condensing the TV series enough, and they're going to condense
exactly
it more in this movie.
I just this is an argument that goes back to the edge of time for me as far as adaptations of things go. Like, I'm very hard pressed. Again, I have a hard time when 300-400 page books are adapted into 2-hour movies. You leave way too much behind, and that's a gripe I've had with most sort of book to film adaptations, where the number of really truly good ones are few and far between, and they're the ones that are 5 hours long, like the Lord of the Rings movies were, because they didn't leave anything behind.
It's one of the reasons why I'm excited for the Harry Potter TV series. Like,
Agreed.
I've never read the fucking books, right? So like, I'm sitting here and going, okay, well, that's a whole lot of extra material that I have no fucking clue what happens in, and it's gonna be like a whole new experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same for me. Like, I was someone who had read the books when the movies came out, so I would be sitting there like, the big one I go to is, where exactly was Peeves? Like, that's a very, very important character in the books. And,
or you can even point to what they did with the maze and the Goblet of Fire.
I mean, those though, I can sort of, don't get me wrong, I love the idea of this TV series and actually getting to see the Sphinx. Like, that's the big one that was left behind. Like, I love the idea of the Sphinx finally being there, but like, that one I actually understood from a storytelling perspective, right? Because they didn't really take away the danger. They just sort of shrunk it and truncated it to make it quicker. So that one I didn't so much have an issue with, because they kept everything else part of it, right? But, I love the idea, and I very much hope we get to see the Sphinx in all of its glory in, 2027, 2028? So yeah, I'm all for that. It's Peeves. Peeves is the one that I'm like, how can you not have Peeves? That character is so important to the books. Like, he's a huge part specifically of like Order of the Phoenix. Order of the Phoenix. Like, a huge part of those books. And to not even have him in there at all, come on now. But I digress. We'll get to that one more at Christmas when we start picking apart things that are in the series that weren't in the movies and that weren't in the books. That'll be an interesting list. What are the things that are left out of the series or what things get taken out to add new stuff, because we do know they're adding new stuff, which that's a double-edged sword that I don't know that I want them playing with yet. We'll see. All right, let's move forward again. Not really too much, I think, to break down here and discuss, but we do have some news and things out of Starfighter, so we have a bit more on that, and we do, and it's names of characters. So the top 3 characters, that would be the Ryan Gosling character, the Flynn Gray character, and the Mia Goth character, who we believe to be obviously the 2 main protagonists and the main antagonists. Ryan Gosling is playing, now again, we don't have pronunciations, just spellings and names, so we may pronounce these horribly incorrectly to what they actually end up being, so we can only try and phonetically sound these out in a way that makes sense to us until such time as we hear them on screen and are like, oh, we were completely wrong about that. All right, Ryan Gosling is playing a character named Sabarin Gill. Flynn Gray is Keir Sloan, and Mia Goth is Alaris Moore. Those are the names of the 2 main protagonists and the main antagonist, presumably.
I mean, they're very Star Wars sounding names, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's very plausible that these could be the names. It's also very plausible that these are 3 names from a Star Wars name generator.
You are not wrong.
I mean, I will say Mia Goth's character's name does sound like a dark side user. I mean, to some degree, obviously it's not a Sith because, don't have Darth in front of it. So, but I mean, they don't sound too bad. Obviously, until the actual information comes out, it's fun to just speculate on if it's real or not. I think I mean, they're not bad names. I'll say that they're not bad names at all.
All right, so let's move on to the second to last topic in the Star Wars things. We've learned more of Fate of the Republic, the game that was shockingly announced at the Video Game Awards this past holiday season. We have more. We have major creative team members being revealed. Dan Fessenden from Knights of the Old Republic and the first Mass Effect games is the senior technical designer. Melanie Faulkner, whose credits are Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition, is the director of external development. Caroline Livingston of Neverwinter Nights, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age is the director of production and performance. Ryan Hoyle, Knights of the Old Republic and the Mass Effect trilogy, is the chief technology officer. Pascal Blanche of Myst 4, Revelation, RuneScape, and Far Cry New Dawn as art director. Those are 3 games that do not have a single thing in common as far as the art direction goes. So that's going to be an interesting one. Those are the main positions. Not really. I don't really think there's much to talk about there. The credits are all very, very similar. I
mean, it's a pretty good who's who in terms of just the games they've worked on and the success that all those games had, probably with the exception of maybe a couple, but for the most part, working on pretty much banger after banger for the titles that's really good in terms of just confidence that at least they understand, at least most majority of them understand Star Wars, because let's be honest, you kind of have to have a love and an understanding of Star Wars to make a good Star Wars game. And if you've worked on Knights of the Old Republic, you know just how good of a Star Wars game that is and how much love had to go into it. So I feel like they're definitely gonna try to put their best foot forward with this game, and I'm really excited to see what more comes out about it, because that teaser it was just the tip of the iceberg, and I can't wait to see the full body of it.
It's definitely going to be interesting.
Forgive me if I'm wrong here. They did not announce a head writer, did they?
Not on this list you gave us, so no.
Yeah, and at this point you would have a head writer. So,
presumably.
It makes me wonder if they're holding that off for a surprise, and I think you know where I'm going with this.
The same way I went when they initially announced this thing.
Yes, Mr. Carpathian. So, it makes sense. I mean, I can't say I know a whole lot about anybody that is on this list other than they clearly all have good resumes. So, can't go wrong with talent. I mean, you can, but you know, you hope that you don't.
Yeah, is definitely a lot of interesting ideas for who this might be, and obviously, you know who we want. If you know even the littlest bit about us, going back to the dawn of time, obviously Drew Carpson is the guy. He is the brains of the Old Republic era. Period. Full stop. End of sentence. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, in the not too distant future, they can confirm that he is the one writing this, so I can get that monkey off my back. All right, that's going to move us to our last Star Wars topic here, and for that, we're going to turn it over to Sean, who has some things he wants to get off his chest in relation to the Mandalorian and Grogu.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but like we kind of covered it already earlier. When
you should do it Wade Barrett. Just do it bad news Barrett.
I'm afraid I have some bad news.
Well, I just assumed you'd save the actual rant part for this segment.
No,
but if you covered most of what you wanted to say.
There's just people that are going on about how, the movie doesn't need to make money and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, it does. And it needs to make significantly more money than people think. Just to break even. And it just rattles me. It's like, don't you get that if you bomb, it doesn't affect Starfighter, but it absolutely could affect the direction and budgets and various other things going into future Star Wars movies. Now, the one thing I would say, and I've noticed she's out on the media tour for this, as they do their special events, is however this performs, you cannot lay it at the feet of Dave Filoni. And there are going to be some grifters out there that go, oh, and Filoni has already failed when this movie barely breaks even or doesn't make money. This is a Kathleen Kennedy produced project. Don't forget that.
This is be the last one, though, for her, right?
No, she's a producer on Starfighter as well, but so is Filoni.
And the amount of talent they brought in for Starfighter is definitely overshadows what they did for Mandalorian and Grogu. If it breaks,
I think the star-studded full cast beats a cast with 0 full-time members.
I mean, if it breaks even, it breaks even. I know, people are going to sit there and they're going to be like, oh, Solo this and Solo that. And it's like, you know what? Solo was a fun movie. It felt like Star Wars. Yeah, it didn't perform well at the box office, but it wasn't a bad movie. It just Star Wars burnout. That's what that was. This is obviously different. This is Star Wars returning to the big screen for the first time in a long time. And yeah, I can tell that it's not as talked about or as excited, people are as excited as they were when, say, The Force Awakens came out. So, I mean, I get that part. And who knows? Everything that I'm seeing and hearing about what so far that the little bit that people have seen, they've liked it. Their only concern is it looks too much like a TV show. And that's beyond that, they've had a lot of fun with it. At least that's what I've read a bit from articles online, whether it be like Variety or whatever, that have come out and said, hey, this 26 minutes have been shown and people are really liking it. That obviously doesn't translate to putting butts in the seats, but stranger things have happened. So as much of a bummer as it would be if it lost money, not much we can do about that. Just it is what it is at this point. They obviously didn't do a great job of marketing. They didn't do a great job of putting it out there for the whole world to see, minus a few really bad decisions, Super Bowl being one of them. But what can we do? We're literally less than 2 weeks away. So it is what it is at this point. I'm just looking for it to be a fun movie at this point. I'm not looking for gangbusters, absolute cinema. I'm looking for it to just be a fun, enjoyable movie that feels like Star Wars. And that's kind of how I went in with Solo as well. So that's kind of what I'm looking for at this point. That's my benchmark. That's is what it is.
I need to watch Solo again. It's definitely the Star Wars movie I've watched the least ever out of all of them. Like, I've probably seen Solo 3 or 4 times at most, and not in the last half a decade at all.
Well, we shall see. I'm not, I don't want to say I'm not too concerned about it, because I'm not inherently, my job isn't the corporate Disney box offices and profit margins, right? Like, that's not, I'm not a stockholder. I don't give a shit. All I care about is, do I enjoy it? That's the only metric that matters to me on success or failure, is, did I enjoy it? And that's that. Yeah, we shall see here in just a few short weeks whether or not this one holds up to that standard. I'm not too concerned about it because, I'm just not, because I have zero expectations, right? I mean, I don't think this film can disappoint me because I have zero expectations. I expect it to just exist, basically. I don't expect to come out of this saying, "Oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen." I don't expect to come out of this and saying, "Oh, this is the biggest piece of shit I've ever watched." I would rather watch Zombies again than watch this. Like, that's the epitome of failure. If I would rather come out and watch Zombies again than watch this movie again, that's when it's bad. Anything other than that, and it exists. Yeah. So thankfully, I'm not too concerned because of how low my expectations are, which I think is a blessing for this film, honestly, because it cannot. It not living up to my expectations would be the biggest failure in cinematic history, I believe, because of how low my expectations are. But I digress. And let's move forward. And we do have some things here as we come towards the back end of the show. The last few things to talk about. Today, it has come out on multiple different sources. Pretty much anybody who knows anybody who works in the entertainment reporting structure has put out a release date for Crystal Lake. This is everywhere. I've seen this from Deadline all the way down to to Joe Blow and his internet reporting Twitter. Has the date as Thursday, October 15th, on Peacock in the US. I don't know internationally if there's any other sources released yet officially for where this thing might be available in different countries. So keep your eyes and ears open to that as we get closer to it, where local distribution starts being announced in your regions where Peacock is not available, including us Canadians who have no idea where this thing is going to be. October 15th is the release date for Crystal Lake, which does sort of bring up an interesting factoid that this is the first project in the Friday the 13th universe to release during the month of October in the Halloween season. And that includes
fucking nuts.
12 movies, 13 movies?
So the last one, wasn't that like February or March or something like that? The 2009?
Yeah, I feel like that was a spring release.
Oh, summer.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty
So I know
sure it was. Maybe you're right. Maybe I can't remember if I seen that in theaters or if I watched it at home. Maybe it came out on like home video and I watched it then during the summer.
Yeah, I
You might be
remember
right.
going with Matt to see that in theaters.
Well, let's run it really quickly. February 13th was the day before Valentine's Day. Was the 2009 release. Other than that, it's lots of Augusts, Aprils, Marches, and Mays. May,
Hey, at least you
May,
took
August,
advantage of a
April,
Friday the
March,
13th.
August, May, July, August, April, August, February. There were several releases on presumably Friday the 13th. Because Friday would have been the release dates, and we have an April 13th for the final chapter, May 13th for part 7, The New Blood, August 13th for Jason Goes to Hell, and February 13th for the 2009 release.
I appreciate releasing them on Friday the 13th, but in terms of knowing your market, especially as the movies, I'm not including the remake in with this, as the movies started to become not as good and the quality really slipped on them. To not take advantage of the Halloween, and I'm talking the season, not the movie franchise, market and that time of year is absolutely mind-boggling. And I'm glad someone with a brain on this project went, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing to release it around Halloween.
Just adds the spooky season, man, which I'm all for. I mean, they probably got as close to the Friday the 13th as they could in terms of releasing it in October when they are. So
I think there's one in November, a Friday the 13th. I could be wrong on that.
I think you're right.
I know there is another one in the fall, but I can't remember.
I think there were 3 this year.
Yeah. It is November. Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame that it couldn't have been October, but hey, you got as close as you can, and that's cool. It's crazy to me that with all these moving pieces for Friday the 13th, yet we still have like nothing on Halloween. It's crazy to me, but that is a different topic altogether. So
I'll point out, not even Friday.
As we covered last week, when mom and pop are not getting along and you need mom and pop to release something, it's kind of hard to release something. So we have a really cool looking game coming out, though. So at least we have that.
I can't wait to scare the shit out of you too, as Michael. So I'll be that asshole that just pretty much talks nonstop.
Oh, you went full robotic on my end there.
That sucks.
Are we good? I'm showing reconnect. I'm not even here, am I?
You're here.
No, I'm not even here, am I? No, I am clearly not. Oh, this is fun. Hello, Bueller?
We hear him.
Yep.
But he doesn't hear himself. Randy, do you want to tell him to exit and come back since we can hear him just fine? I do it over Messenger.
Yeah.
Oh.
There he goes.
And then we shall have peace.
I mean, that's one way to do it. Let's see. Did he come back yet? Or there he is.
Lovely, fun software.
It loves you so much.
Clearly. I got the Zach from a few weeks ago. At least it just didn't make faces disappear. That one was even worse that week.
True.
So do we have anything more for that one, or are we good on that one?
No, I think we're good.
All right, then that brings us to our last sort of Halloween adjacent thing. You want to go over that, Sean?
So, coming up very soon, because I think it's the type of thing that you kind of just want to jump right into, is we're going to do a project on the channel. And what I won't do is say it'll be pre-produced or live, or it just depends, right? Like on a night like tonight where we've gone through a rather extensive topic list and we're only at 1 hour. could easily be like, okay, we're taking 5, and then we'll be back with. Well, we don't even have a title for this thing, but let's just say it's Haddonfield Radio. And what we're going to do is we're kind of going to do a role-playing narrative radio broadcast that takes place during or even before or after select Halloween movies, and have some fun with people that are calling in from in and around Haddonfield or maybe elsewhere too, as if the broadcast was actually taking place in the Halloween universe, and just have some fun with it. So yeah, it's not going to be like heavily scripted or anything. It's going to be very, very much improv based, and I think it could be a lot of fun.
All right. Well, obviously, you'll hear more about this as we get closer to putting it out while we work on the back end to come up with all of the fun sort of back end stuff that goes along with a project like this. But we talked about this prior to the show tonight, and it sounds fun. It's something that doesn't just apply to the Halloween universe, but is something that we can sort of roll out over the different courses of fandoms that we talk about here on the channel. So it'll be fun. I look forward to it, and it plays well with our skill sets, I think, in a fun way. And I look forward to doing
It's
this.
absolutely something that's going to go off the rails regardless of what we're doing.
Our regular shows go off the rails. Something like this isn't even going to be on the rails. Roads where we're going, there are no roads.
Thank you, Doc Brown, for that.
Thank you for getting it.
No, it should be a lot of fun, and you never know. You never know who's going to show up and make a call. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see what happens.
It is definitely going to be fun. All right. I guess for our last topic of the evening, this one goes back to you, Sean, because you're the only one of us who have partaken of it all the way through. Daredevil finished its second season of the second series. That one was a confusing sentence that started normal, and then I realized had to be changed halfway through because I can't just call it the second season of Daredevil because it's a nod. It's the second season of the second series of Daredevil, which sounds in and of itself even more confusing than actually just saying it. So season 2 of the Disney Plus Daredevil is in the books as of last week. As of right now, you're the only one of us who's seen it all the way through. Randy and myself are both a little behind on it, so we can't comment on it as yet. But you've seen it all the way through. What do you think? What are your thoughts? You said you'd keep it sort of spoiler-free-ish for Randy and myself since we haven't seen it all the way through. So what do you think? What have you got to say? Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I thought it was well done. I think the finale is probably not a setting most people are expecting. I thought it was good. It was satisfaction met for me. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was serviceable, watchable, worthy of another season. But I will say that there's a character that doesn't appear in this season that was in last season, and I definitely think his presence is missed this season. So hopefully that's something that gets rectified. But the other thing is tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. Punisher, is it called Last Kill or One Last Kill or something like that? The special comes out. Now, I can't say that I'm thrilled with the fact that it's only 44 or 45 minutes long. But I've read non-spoiler reviews on it. I've stayed spoiler-free. And it sounds like the reviews are very glowing. And people love it. And I don't think this gets too spoilery, but it seems like it sets up more for Punisher. But then my thing is, well, does it just set up his appearance in Spider-Man Brand New Day, right? Like, is that the more? I love Frank Castle, the character. I'm still a Thomas Jane guy first, but I think John Bernthal's done a wonderful job with the role. And, give me more Frank Castle. Give me more Punisher. I'm always down for it.
White is definitely something we'll be talking more about as it comes out. For sure. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this week. We got nothing else to go over on the notes this week, so that's it. It is time for us to say good night, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, all those other fun ways to say see you later in whatever language you speak. Randy, where can everybody find you?
Yep. Over on X, you can find me at Giggity Giles. And also, if you enjoy people bullshitting, talking sports, drinking, having fun, and just all around crazy ass fuckery, you can Google Sports and Brew and find the home feed on Podbean and take a listen, because it's been going around for a while, and 400 plus episodes in, and I still can't believe we're still doing it. So hope you enjoy.
Always a fan of fuckery. Sean, how about you?
I'm going to take this moment to mention this on air. Our boy, Tommy B, and his wife, I'm going to be careful of what I do with this because I've not asked permission to reveal names or anything, but they gave birth to their first child over the weekend, or no, end of last week. So congratulations on that. Baby seems healthy. And then Dustin, who hasn't been around either, who has a newborn himself. Everyone's doing well. It's a full family here, and we look forward to hearing from both of them when they have the time to pop in.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
And I'll be here, there, and everywhere.
Poor Johnny.
The head shake is real here, guys.
I believe it.
All right, and you can find me.
Also, hang on. The next time we will hear Johnny, it will be our review of The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah, I suppose it will.
Yes,
Zach's back in the chair
be.
next week, so
Yeah.
you won't hear me again until after I mean, we are a little over a week and a half away from this movie, and I can't. My give a damn is so out of gas for this movie. I think I'm gonna have to rent a tow truck to go see this thing because my give a damn is so busted. No, I mean, I'm excited. Let's put it this way: I'm more excited to see Sean and the kids than I am to see this movie.
That's fair. That's fair. I feel the same.
So, it's I will take any excuse for that to happen. So, thanks Star Wars for playing your small part in that, I guess. Yeah. The kids will enjoy it. That's the most. That's the hope, anyway. It won't be wasted time if that's the case. But I digress. I will see you all for myself. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Zach is back in the chair next week. So yeah. So long. Farewell. Good night. And good luck. We'll see you next week. Or Zach, we'll see you next week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. So long.